Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Welcome to my regular everything in bud, spike and bloom on the 8th. Actually on the 8th this time as well. It's not filmed on the 8th when the 8th normally falls on a day, when I'm out or something like that, or on the Sunday chat day, in which case I move it. But when it's on a normal day, then we can film it on the correct date. Right, we're going to start over here with all there is over here, basically. In all of this, yeah. Now he's proved a liar. Right, we're going to have to dig in. I've just spotted the spike that I'm sure wasn't there when I actually watered the plants. But we will have a look. So we'll find out what it's on. Okay. Right. A giant insect of some sort. Not quite sure what that was. Right, we have a spike over here, and these two plants are the same. So if one's spiking, the other one probably will as well soon, and that is actually a Bratonia, and it's Shelob Marie. It's one that somebody gave me that at the time they thought was Shelob Tolkien, but when it bloomed it was something different, so sort of had to look it up. Anyway, we've got a spike coming on there. That is a poor spike. That looks like it's only going to have 2, maybe 3 blooms. But nonetheless, as me thinking there was nothing in spike or bloom over this side, and now there is. Jolly good, even though I missed that. Right, let's put this all back together again. This end moved as well. Right, and then the only other thing over here that's got buds on is the Psychopsis. This dropped its previous bud, but this bud is now starting to move. This one also dropped its previous bud, and hopefully the one that's there will now progress. Still yet to see this bloom. But it is growing. It does have a nice new growth coming up through there, and there are signs of new roots in places as well. So plus the leaves haven't gone all limp, so it's still hydrating, so that's okay. There's nothing else over this side at all. Nothing amongst the paths, and Restrepias no, and the few Masdevallias that are over here no. I've got a feeling we might have the start of a spike on the Sarcochilus. It's possible. That little green nub in there, if it's not a spike, I don't know what it is. Could be a root, I suppose. Yeah, I think it's a root, because if you look at the next leaf joint, that's a root. So they're just roots coming out. They do produce roots up the stem. So not that one then. Right, now I'm going to go the other way this time. I normally start on the left and move over to the right. Obviously no Pleone buds, not till next year. And no Coelogenes producing spikes at the moment. They're all in sort of growth mode. So all we've got over here is the one Miltoniopsis, which is her Alexander. This has been in bloom some time. The blooms last well. Highly fragrant. Several of these have been recently repotted, but this one hasn't long been repotted. It's not hydrating as well as it should, hence the slightly crinkled leaves, which can often be overcome by just sort of opening them, but sometimes they tear if you do that. But if you can open them at the right time, then they will uncrinkle as they progress. But the crinkled leaves are lack of hydration, basically. It's not hydrating. And that's not through lack of water. Go steady, yeah? Just because it looks like it needs water, it doesn't necessarily need any more. What it needs is a better root system. If you chuck loads more water on a root system that's not very good, you lose the few roots that you've got. So you need to go steady with those. Right, so coming over here, there's nothing under there. That's Masdevallias and Draculas, nothing there. A few Oncidium types, nothing there. Although this, I'm pretty sure, will produce a spike in the not too distant future. Right, we've got this. It was bought as a zygopetalum, but the blooms say it's not. I'll put a picture of the blooms because there's only a couple of things in bud. That's one of them. I think it's a zygonesia or zygonessa, something like that. But it's effectively as an intergeneric, and that should be opening quite soon now. Buds are pushing on. The Nellie Yellow, which I got at the NEC, is finishing now. I'm going to take this spike off and give the plant a chance. We do have, do you know, that looks like another spike. I hope it's a new growth. I don't want another spike. It's already produced two. It's highly unlikely it's going to be new growth, which is good, as this needs to be repotted, but I've been waiting for the flowers to go. And as I touch that plant, one of the blooms drops. So I'll take that spike off when I finish filming, and then we'll mark that down as finished blooming. Right, so here we've got the everlasting Dendrobium infundibulum, but these blooms are finally starting to fade. As they start to fade, they become almost transparent. You can see all the veining. They become very, very thin. And then eventually you get the brown edges, and then eventually they go. And this won't be in bloom again for some considerable time. There's no buds showing anywhere, and the new cane is there. So it's got quite a bit of growing to do before that gets up to full size. Although sometimes, you know, this cane here is the previous cane. That could produce new buds. It seems to bloom when it wants, that one. And then behind here we've got Dendrobium apollon, which the blooms are starting to go now, but it's still got a few nice ones on there. Yeah, it's a nice pure white with a delicate lime green as to the centre. So nice combination of two colours there. And then here we've got the other black hair Dendrobium that I've got. No ID for this one. It does produce an awful lot of blooms when it blooms. You know, it's quite a show. You know, the number of blooms on this particular cane, you know, they surround the whole top of the cane. And a reasonable number on this cane too. Those are the two latest canes, basically. There's no sign of the new canes yet. Those won't start growing until these blooms start to fade, and they'll be with us a long time. So no ID on that one. And then we've got the Brassia hybrid, again no ID. This is looking quite good actually. It's got so many new growths, they're hardly worth trying to count. It really is a vigorous plant, and hopefully these new growths can get going enough to actually bloom this year, or some of them at least. So we sort of track back. Let's have a track back here. Oh, I don't know, this spike here is on quite a mature growth, fully grown growth. So maybe they won't bloom, maybe they'll bloom late winter, early spring. We'll have to wait and see. So that's that. And then over here, the Trigonopus has just literally today, I cut the bloom off because it all sort of started to close up and shrivel, so it's finished. So that's gone now. That was in bloom over 6 weeks. So it's a very good sort of value. I'm seriously hoping to get a new growth now. Yeah, and then finally, what is going to look pretty good, I think, is this Dendrobium. I always have to look this up and then try and say it. Jinghuanum, and it's crossed with Bensoniae, and it does have a good few buds. They're showing colour, so they're not long from opening now. This will be its first proper blooming. I can't remember whether it had a bloom on it when I got it. I don't remember. Probably, it's unlike me to buy a plant not in bloom, and especially not knowing what it was, because, you know, I wouldn't have known what on earth that was. That was at the Devon Orchid Society organised an event at the Rosemore, RHS Rosemore Gardens. And I went along to that, and that was last year, I forget when, but middle of summer sometime last year. So anyway, this is coming into bloom soon. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 7 blooms on there. They're all single blooms on single, you know, canes. Oh no, there's a double one here and there, I tell, porkies. They look like singles. So 1 or 2 buds per cane, per spike. I'll get there in a minute. And that is it. That's all there is in bud, spike or bloom. None of the Nobelies have got buds on. They would be out of season if they did. As I say, no Masdevallias, no Cotyledons, definitely no Cymbidiums. So yeah, it's a bit thin on the ground, but there could be some things to come. What have we got? Over here, I've missed one. I don't know whether I can get at it, that's the problem. It's in behind this. Where is it? There it is. There. That's the spike. And that's Prosthetia radiata. I was just going to say, I'm sure I had a Prosthetia in bud. So that's coming as well. Highly fragrant. That will be more fragrant than the Nellie Isla and the Miltoniopsis for Alexandrae. Very, very fragrant, that one, when we get it. And then we had the newly discovered spike on the Bratonia. As I say, there could be more over there at some time. There might be, you know, there's some new growths on this, whatever that is. I think that's a Prosthetia, it's a species actually. So we might get something there. Anywhere where there's new growths, basically, we should get some blooms. But yeah, well. So it was a bit thin on the ground, as I said, but that's how it is. That is the time of year. It's the middle of the growing season, and some of my plants will be stopping growing now. They will cease. We've already had 2 heat waves this year so far. Luckily they didn't last too long. However, this one is going to be a stonker. They reckon this one could be in direct competition with 1976, which was the all-time, you know, heat wave, because it not only didn't rain for absolutely ages, the heat wave conditions lasted for ages as well. Everybody's lawn died. You know, the grass all went brown, trees dropped leaves, you know, it's pretty bad. Some rivers actually dried up, and that means all the wildlife in that river's dead. So, you know, it's starting to get serious. This particular heat wave, I can't remember when it last rained, but it was a while ago, and it wasn't much. You know, it was a few showers, so we haven't had any rain for a while. And these heat wave conditions have been declared now. And on the weather forecast this morning, they said this warm weather, getting warmer, is going to last 7 to 10 days minimum. That's on top of what we've already had. Yeah? So it's pretty grim. It makes me wonder whether it's worth even bothering to try and grow things in the garden. Because they can't live on just the hose pipe. They'll just about stay alive, but it doesn't do them much good just putting the hose on them all the time. So need rain, and it doesn't look like we're going to get any for some considerable time. So and I'm limited now to the jobs I've got to do in the garden. I've only got a couple of hours in the morning where I can get that done. I can't start mucking about in the garden too early. It's not fair on people that are still in bed, you know, all that sort of stuff. And the sun comes round into the garden relatively early in the day, and even now the sun is only in the corner of the garden over there. So there's quite large parts of the garden in the shade, but it's already too warm to work out there, even in the shade where the normal temperatures. This place last night dropped down to 21 degrees. That was its lowest point. So when I got up this morning, in here was 21 degrees. You know, prior to this heat wave starting, that could have been a daytime high, not a nighttime low. And of course, the old sleep's getting messed up as well. You know, it's starting to get really uncomfortable trying to get to sleep. If it gets much warmer upstairs in the bedroom, then I shall start sleeping downstairs again. And that's not really what I would call proper sleep. I get sleep, you know, but it's not all night. You know, I don't sleep from my normal, I go to bed 9 o'clock, 9:15, something like that. I'd be asleep by 10 o'clock, I suppose, and I sleep through till sometime after 4. And that's normally continuous unless I need to get up, you know, like one does when one's older. Yeah, so we might start staying downstairs. Unfortunately, that means I might be subjected to watching the football because I'm bored and there's nothing else to do. Oh dear, that's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, I've got 2 more pre-recorded videos that I can post on top of this one. So this is Wednesday, that's Thursday and Friday sorted, probably. And I've got an Orchid Society meeting on Saturday. The fact that there won't be any treasurer duties, because there's no payments or anything like that, I might actually take my camera along and try and film the members' orchids that they bring in for the competitive element. It's not worth me taking anything in because I haven't got anything that that warrants going in at the moment. However, next time, next time's a garden party. Well, that's a shame. That dendrobium would have got a lot of attention because of what it is, and just how rare a plant it actually is. But that's no good. That's not going to still be in bloom in 2 months' time when we get to the September meeting. July's a normal meeting on Saturday. Then the August meeting is in fact our garden party around Sue and Alan's. I'll take my camera to that and film Alan's grow spaces. There's always something nice to view in there. And and next weekend is the Burnham's Orchid Festival, which I'll be going along to with Hannah. So obviously there'll be some videos and hopefully some new orchids. Can't promise that, because there's a lot of things that Burnham sell that I don't actually want. You know, it's a huge mass of Phalaenopsis, and a lot of the stuff is bought in from Europe. You know, so it's stuff I don't necessarily want, but hopefully something will catch my eye. We shall see. I'll send Hannah out on a hunt in the nursery, see if she can find something nice. She's more patient than me. She'll stop and look more thoroughly, whereas I sort of, green stuff, and sort of walk at a reasonable pace, looking for blooms basically. But okay, we'll see. Hopefully I'll get some new orchids. But that's what's coming up, and that's the everything in bud, spike and bloom for this month done. Next month I suspect there will be even less, because the Nellie Isla will be gone. I doubt if her Alexander will still be in bloom, and the Infundibulum will be gone. Doesn't leave a lot, does it? Getting pretty thin on the ground. Still, as I say, it's the time of year, and what can we end on? I think we'll end on, let's end on this, because it's quite a mass blooming. It looks pretty good, even though it's only 2 colours. Still looks nice, and that is a very nice deep orange in the centre. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.